Hey Fancy Action Now fans, this is El Viejo Toro, and these morning musings are brought to you by the Fancy Action Now. And if you see, I'm going to take the Pipster over here. I've been talking about this for the last couple of years on this channel about the coming gaming crash of AAA gaming. A game crash is inevitable for AAA. It just is. Yes, are there some good AAA titles out there? But the endemic elements in the industry right now and the behaviors of those people running this industry off a cliff, into the ground, are it is endemic. It is part of the age of decadence that we're in. And I'm going to go over that with you. I'm going to go over this age of decadence that is part of what's going on, and it's part of a natural cycle that affects people, governments, empires, corporations. They all go through these phases. Some weather them and come out the other side, which I think most of the AAA companies like Blizzard, Activision, and EA will weather it, but they are going to take major hits. We're talking major restructurings, major franchises failing and or lost for a good period of time until they're recaptured by a better group of people. And that's the thing. The problem is the paradigm of AAA gaming is killing itself. Is killing itself inflicted, as the fall of all empires are, because you lose focus on what brought growth. And there's a really interesting article about, it's called Empire Rise, The Rise and Fall. In 1976 essay, The Fate of Empires, General Sir John Glubb analyze the life cycle of civilization. Now, I won't read the whole thing to you, but every empire goes through the same stages, and they all fail for the same reasons. It's a cycle, it's a paradigm, and at the end, it is very much self-inflicted, because the people that built the empire aren't the people running it anymore. They're not the same type of people. They're not. It's a completely different paradigm from what creates empire and or successful corporations and businesses to what is running it at the end. Okay, and this is also an allegory for life as well. It's very interesting. So he says here, Glubb says here, every new empire begins with the age of pioneers, courageous individuals with passion and vision who conquer new territories. These are the bold. These are the do or die. These are the people that look at the untamed vistas and say, that may kill me, but if it doesn't, I'm gonna rule this place. I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna scratch out my future. Come what may. I may die tomorrow, I may die in 10 years, who cares? Let's do it. It's that attitude that creates groundbreaking, genre-defining, paradigm-shifting experiences. It's not the safe road. It's not the guaranteed outcomes. It's not the profit and loss statement. Well, we're down 10% this quarter bill, what are we gonna do about it? Oh, I don't know, maybe we'll throw a little more microtransactions. Doing the same crap over and over that doesn't work for smaller and smaller increments of gain. And nobody seems to recognize, hey, we can't tax and spend our way out of it. We can't continue to charge customers out of it. We have to innovate out of it. And if we're going to innovate, we have to take a chance. We have to risk it. And sometimes you got to risk the farm. Final Fantasy. Perfect. They were getting ready to be closed as a studio, and they said, we only got, this much time before they close us down. We're going to make the game we want to make. We're going to put the things in there we want to do. And they created a complete dynasty. And now that dynasty has fallen into decadence. With a substandard game, indecision, the boldness is gone. The decisiveness is gone. And now it's a pandering, microtransaction-y mess that you can't even push the chairs around. The chairs are like stuck to the ground like in, 2005 in that game, in the latest Final Fantasy 15. I mean, we're talking previous gen. That game is previous gen. As nice as it looks, the mentality hasn't shifted. It hasn't innovated. All right, the next one. The age of commerce. So think about video games. The age of pioneers, bold, we're trying new things, we're doing wacky stuff. Some of it fails, some of it works. Hey, that works, let's go down that road. Okay, it's like, oh, we tried that and it failed. I mean, think about it. 32X, right? 3DO, Philips CDI. What is some Virtual Boy? Again, these are innovations that failed, but you have to continue to innovate to find what will work. And the canny companies, they wait, they watch, and then they innovate, and they try to eliminate risk, but they still innovate. They still know that they have to roll the dice to grow the business, otherwise it will go into decline. The next is the age of affluence. So we went from the pioneers starting up the video game industry, trying new things, developing new software and engines and things to maximize the graphical fidelity of some of these games, trying different stuff like System Shock 2, innovating storytelling. I remember one article I read about System Shock 2, and the main developer said, we got so much pushback about tricking the player with Polito, where it's Shodan, the evil AI, impersonating a living person and manipulating you to get to a certain point. And they said there was such pushback, it almost got taken out of the game, which is one of the cornerstones of that game, because it was innovative. Nobody thought, everybody's mental paradigm was, well, we don't want to trick the player, it's not been done before. Again, it's always one or two or a small group of innovative people that say, we need to take this chance. We need to try something new. It doesn't matter if it hasn't been done before. It hasn't been done before is the motto of the age of decadence. Only do what we know works. That leads to destruction. My channel is an example of innovation. I'm always changing it. I'm always mixing it up. I'm always trying something new. I'm fixing the lighting. I'm redoing the studio. I'm changing the logo. I mean, you have to do that. And even though my growth is slower than I would like, it's that is what keeps you going. That is what keeps people interested. And AAA gaming is so deep in their paradigm, they cannot extract themselves. They would literally have to get rid of most of the management of these companies and put in new, I mean, again, if you're a VP, if you have a VP opening in a major corporation, they don't want to hire somebody innovative at a lower level. Typically, they're not going to go to that innovative manager who's really driving the business and change and who's like a grassroots leader, who's walking around inspiring their teams and all this stuff. They're going to hire another executive that's going to fall into the same paradigm and do the safe thing. There's some merit to that as far as maintaining your business and not going too crazy. There has to be a balance. But these guys in AAA have got themselves in a paradigm, and I honestly believe they're like, what's going on? Why are the customers so mad? We don't get it. They do not get it. They do not understand how to extricate themselves from the inevitable decline that the age of decadence in AAA gaming has put them in. They don't know how, they don't have what they need to extract themselves. And what they need is that young, hungry innovation, the courage to go out there and go, boom, we're blowing this up. We're blowing this game up. We're going to get out of the focus groups. We're going to get out of the market analysis. We're going to go to the gamers. We're going to bring them in, talk to them. We're going to get some crazy ideas. We're going to do some testing. We're going to start implementing. We're going to start building, and we're going to focus on the customer, but we're going to blow them away. We're going to shatter their expectations. They don't have that ability to do that. They don't have the will. And oftentimes they're hamstrung and they don't have the authority. Oops. So we go from the age of the pioneer, the age of commerce. You remember that when it blew up? When it blew up in the 90s and everybody's into video games now. Video games went from this weird little niche to like, boom, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo. The NES kind of began that, but the age of commerce for video games really began in that era that we still talk about. People are still excited about that era. Do you know why? Because this was the age of commerce. This is when video games gained legitimacy and started to explode and become a billion-dollar business instead of some niche-y toy business. This is when it became billions. And that's when you become a billion-dollar industry, that's your legitimacy. Then comes the age of affluence. Tons of money, everybody, all the big boys are getting into it. That's what happened with the Dreamcast, and Microsoft. Really big boys said, whoa, this industry is getting to be in every house in the country, and it's making billions. We're getting a piece of that pie. Microsoft came in and pretty much absorbed Sega in the marketplace. Sony, another big one's like, hey man, we're electronics, we're Sony, we're owning. And they did, they almost put everybody out of business in the video games. They almost took the whole thing over. Practically still do. Watch out for Microsoft next year though. They're blowing it up. So, and then we go into the age of affluence. And Glub quotes in his video, or I'm sorry, in this article, he quotes Glub saying, there does not appear, this is important, there does not appear to be any doubt that money is the agent which causes the decline of this strong, brave, and self-confident people. Back in the day when it was shoestring budget, and we're working out of our garage, and we're eating ramen noodles, and we're staying up all night, we're gonna finish this level, and all of that stuff. Now, elements of that still exist in the game industry, but the game industry as a whole has left that behind. The bravery, the original Final Fantasy, just the kind of, man, we're gonna build what we want. They're firing us anyway. We're gonna build what we want. And it changed the industry forever and spawned a tremendous multi-billion-dollar dynasty. That one concept, that one idea, we're gonna do what we want. We're gonna do the creative outlet that we wanna do. We don't care about your money. We don't care about your job. We don't care about your corporate headquarters. We don't care about, your press releases and your new logo design. We're making the game for us. We're making it for the customer and for us, the game we always wanted to make, we're making it. It's that attitude that created a multi-billion-dollar, that one concept, that one idea, that one motivation is what created a billion-dollar dynasty. Then you go into the age of intellect. Now, they say in this article, though that seems counterintuitive, that's where people have so much free time that they can devote themselves to intellectual pursuits. But the trap in that is over-analysis. all the games and all of the things that we see right now in this age, or really going into this age, going into this game generation, was the age of intellect. They took everything about online game development, mobile game development from the previous generation of the 360 and the PS3, and brought in all that info and focus groups, market analysis, gaming trends, psychological profiling of the player, and they took all of that data from the age of intellect and are now incorporating it full blown. And because it's failing, they don't understand why it's failing. They're like, we have all this data. The focus groups told us all this. They're still not connected to the customer. And they still don't have that young, hungry, man, let's try. What's another crazy, innovative game? The Quake, the Quake phenomenon, where it was just like, whoa, what is this? I mean, that blew things up. Doom, that blew things up. These like innovative games by a small group of motivated, highly creative people, they don't have that. They're using intellect, market, and again, I'm not saying it doesn't have value. I've definitely leveraged that. Plus, again, the age of intellect, they're taking these they're taking political views. We're uneducated. If you notice, that's what, when I saw that, it really pinged me. It really hit me because it says right before the age of decadence, which is the full decline of a business, an empire, a person, is the age of intellect. And with Soderlund over DICE at EA saying these people are uneducated. Again, that's coming from the age of intellect. We can't see the forest from the trees. We're not looking at the customer, we're looking at our market analysis, and we're not understanding the context to the customer. Completely missing component. That is the complete missing component. If you don't want, and that's from the age of intellect. If you don't like it, don't buy it. You're uneducated. You're entitled. The people that are giving you money for your product are entitled? Maybe. Oh my God. In the age of decadence, many people choose to behave in ways that are unsustainable. EA, Blizzard, Activision, apparently unaware of the consequences. They indulge in excessive, often conspicuous consumption. An absurdly wealthy elite emerges, but instead of repelling the masses, it is admired and celebrated. Those outside the elite aspire to similar levels of consumption and are encouraged by the availability of cheap credit. People become convinced that increased consumption is the key to happiness. But in its pursuit, they become measurably less happy. As David Morgan says, this is a good quote, "You can never get enough of what you don't need." Microtransactions much? So I wanted to share that with you. That's kind of where the age of AAA gaming has entered the age of decadence. It's going from the age of intellect into the age of decadence, and it is in full decline. So any of you out there in the AAA industry at any level, I would invite you to read this article. It's called Empires, the Rise and Fall, and I will put the link in the description, but it holds the key to the failures of Q4 2018, the likes of which we have never seen before. It is almost a unilateral crash in AAA gaming. They have become morally corrupt. They engage in absolutely illegal and unethical business practices. And the key to understanding why they are in the age of decadence now is they keep doing it, expecting a different result. Which is the definition of crazy. This has been Fancy Action Now with your host, El Viejo Toro, for the gamer.
It's just him and me and me.